Hey, do you have an idea for a podcast but don't know where to start? Or do you have an already existing podcast that you want to take to the next level? Well, check out WeKnowPodcasting.com. From concept development to theme music to editing to logos, WeKnowPodcasting.com is a one-stop shop for all things pod. Don't hesitate to hit us up. We're very nice.
Everybody, and welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. This week, we are talking about Amityville for the third time, but we're talking about the fourth Amityville film, also just known as Amityville: The Evil Escapes. I don't know a ton about this movie. I know that I got the Vinegar Syndrome box set in the mail during one of their Black Friday sales. And I mostly got it because I think it was like $10. And I was like, well, $10 just to have It's About Time in blue was like worth the money.
Yeah.
And then I watched the other ones that are on there because it's weird. It starts at 4. It's 4, 6, 7, 8. As far as I understand, the copyrights to Part 5 are like impossible to track down.
Is that the incest made-for-TV one? Oh,
no, well, it's not. The incest one and the made-for-TV one are definitely separate films because the incest one is Part 2, which is arguably the most well-made Amityville movie and the one we are least likely to talk about on this show. It's About Time is the most appropriate Amityville film we'll ever discuss on this show, and it's just been downhill since. But I will say that this movie, which I think is a TV movie still,
yes.
I was unsure, and then the final shot was a cat looking at you with glowing eyes, and then just like Create It By came up on the screen. I'm like, yeah, that's some TV ass credits right there.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, the director wrote the original Amityville Horror, but then Sander Stern, and then he's basically only done TV movies, except for Pin.
Ooh, and Pin's a good movie.
There was one other thing. I'm sorry, only directed. I think he wrote a lot of them too, but all in all, as a director, he's mostly done TV stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, this does feel a little, I mean, it does, once you know it's made for TV, you're like, oh yeah, all the beats are exactly that. But there are some questions because there are some crazy scenes that I'm sure we will get into.
We will get into some of the crazy scenes. So all I knew about this movie prior to seeing it was...
So it's your pick?
Yeah, this is my pick.
Of course it's his pick.
All I knew about this movie...
I'm still learning the ropes.
That's true.
Well, it's not
all
your
I knew
pick
about this movie before I watched it.
And it's not my pick because I have better taste than this. So literally, there's only one person that could do this.
How could you? How dare you? This is great. All I knew about this movie was that it involved a killer lamp, and that it kind of was the kickoff of what would become like 6 movies of things that came from the Amityville house possessing people. And one of them possibly will get around to one of these years, but I can promise you that I believe it's... I promise you that I think it's 7, The Next Generation, about the evil mirror. We're going to stay far, far away from that one because that is even worse than Amityville 3D in my book, which is pretty bad.
Okay, so, and the funniest thing about this is that, so I was in the shower, as I am wont to do. Longtime listeners know this is where I think about Matt the most.
It's where I think about Matt the most.
So I was in the shower, and I was like, Matt can't fucking say escapes. He can't say escapes. And I was meaning to text you, text me phonetically how you say escapes. And I was in the kitchen doing dishes 6 hours later, what fucking word was I going to make fun of Matt for saying wrong? It's escapes, and then also the demon. He can't say either of those because he's from Philly. It's a Philly thing.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, you guys gonna go see the Batman when it comes out in a couple of weeks?
Is it also a regional thing to pluralize things that aren't plural, as we've talked about before? That
does. Listen, let me tell you a little bit about where I come from. This is my favorite Philly story.
Dracula's Stop and Shops.
This is my favorite Philly
Walmart's.
story, but it really encapsulates the best and worst of this town. So we have a word that we throw around that is Jawn. Jawn.
It means anything and nothing,
Yeah,
right?
Jawn is everything and anything. It's just like, hey, get me that Jawn, right? About 5 years ago, there was a dude who was fucking unhinged, right? Bad situation, had a gun, was like locked up in an apartment having a shootout with the police. About 2 minutes after that was reported, John Wick was trending on Twitter for the city of Philadelphia.
That's beautiful.
Incredible. You got the Liberty Bell and you got John.
That's our city in a nutshell. The other great story is that we murdered Hitchbot, which I think is way better than people bring up that we threw batteries at Santa or whatever. No, the ultimate story is that some Canadian scientists built a robot called Hitchbot, and the goal was to prove human kindness, that people would give this robot a ride, and it made it all the way through Canada, all the way down New England, and they tracked it being in Philadelphia for all of 45 minutes before it was taken apart for scraps and left on the side of the street.
Could have happened anywhere in the Rust Belt. I promise. It's not just Philly.
Yeah.
Akron?
But anyway, so I guess for many, many years, when I heard Amityville 4 is the one with the possessed lamp, I expected the lamp to, I don't know, look like a lamp. I don't know what the fuck this thing is.
It fails in two categories for this, because one, it doesn't look like a lamp, but you're like, oh, it's gonna come alive and attack, and then it doesn't like move either.
No, it just glows brighter.
Well, I mean, it's got a prehensile tail.
Yes, I was gonna say that the cable does move, and it moved pretty flawlessly in my opinion. But with a lamp that looks like that literally looks like it's big, bulky, you're like, oh, it's gonna move and it's gonna look like shit.
Yes.
And it looks like shit for sure, but it does not do anything else.
Yeah, that lamp at the bare minimum should become like a shitty version of the Whomping Willow at some point before this movie's over.
Smashing bulbs.
No wonder that lamp is so pissed. Like, it's, that stupid Pazuzu ripoff face inside the top of the lamp, awful, just laughable. But, he's so pissed because he's like, I used to control an entire fucking house, and now I can just choke people with the cord. That's all he can do, Like,
well, I actually wrote down that for at least the first 30 minutes of this movie, the lamp's just a prankster.
turn on the chainsaw,
No,
big deal.
that's... We'll get into the chainsaw. We gotta put a pin in the chainsaw because that's like half the episode. There you go.
Very
It's all
smart.
tied right together. But even just like it's like, ooh, I'm gonna make this tea kettle really hot.
Yeah.
It's getting a lay of the land, okay? You have to give it a second.
I'm gonna infect this lady's finger.
It's in the entryway. It only has a few points of reference.
Yeah.
It doesn't know.
Slight spoiler for what did I watch this week. But this lamp could have like turned its head to the camera and just been like, "Hey, I'm the possessed lamp, and you're watching Jackass. Up next, we're gonna have the hot tea kettle prank."
Not enough balls in this movie for it to be a Jackass.
Oof, yeah, we'll get. Oh, there's a lot of penises that I saw in my what did I watch this week. I do love talking about like how it hits like television beats. Mm-hmm. Prime example, very beginning. You've got this old lady who I gotta say I connect to in a really weird way, where she's just like, "Yo, this lamp is hideous. I'm gonna buy it for my sister."
Yes.
Like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I'd pull that move, but she cuts her finger, and her friend is like, "You should get a tetanus shot," and she's like, "Nah, it's fine," and then just jump cut to the most mutated finger I've ever seen.
It looked like a Wawa roller dog. It was really,
Oh my
really
God.
fucked up.
Like you went way more regional than I was going. I was like, oh, it looks like Asher's Hand in Evil Dead 2, but no, Wawa hot dog.
I do it for the cheap pops. That's all it is.
He's doing it for the fans where I'm from that are like, "Hey, he talked about the John."
Yeah, for the cheap seats.
So
Wait,
so yeah, like-
isn't the original movies, I suppose, when it's in the original house, that's in upstate New York, is that correct?
yes.
And then this movie, is this in Connecticut?
California.
What? Okay, so I watched it on Tubi, and I definitely missed that part. Doesn't matter, but Wow.
How much do you think, at the end of the day, this is for a laugh, right? This woman's doing this for a laugh. She spent $100 on this hideous lamp. And then what do you think the shipping cost is to send that to California?
From New York.
This is like a $600 bit.
Yeah. Like, okay.
It truly is.
That is
It
boomer
really is.
energy to the max. Like, ha ha ha, I've got tons of money to burn. I can't take it with me. I'm going to fucking prank my sister.
My bitch of a sister's going to love this.
So you guys watched it on Tubi. I watched it on Blu-ray. Watched is a rough
Loose term,
for what I did. Yeah, I'm going to jump to the end real quick because I want to ask you, when did you guys know that the house was built on a cliff facing the ocean? Because for me, it was approximately when the lamp got thrown out the window and exploded.
I'm learning it right now because I checked out pretty heavily in the last 15 minutes.
I will say that I only learned it on this watch. I have previously seen it twice before, but it was only on VHS quality. So one, I definitely didn't know it was on a cliff, even though the lamp gets launched. But two, this is the first time I saw that really shitty Pazuzu ripoff that you're talking about.
Yeah.
You can't see it on it's so dark. I can't see it at all on the VHS. So this whole this transfer was beautiful.
And we watched a really good transfer on Tubi.
The Tubi transfer is killer.
Well,
like, it
but
looks
we know
great.
I was
why,
upset
because
by
you've
how
already
nice
pointed
it
out
was.
Vinegar Syndrome puts a lot of their shit on Tubi.
Mhm. Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, they got these trash ass Amityville sequels, and it said
Well,
Tubi
they got
could
the
use
movies
these.
for a song, so they're like, we want to share it with the world. Like it's like me. I put hundreds of hours of time into the mediocre music that I make, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to charge anybody for this, so I just put it everywhere. Since we're speaking about Tubi here, Kyle, did you get ads when you were watching this? Like, so that's the first question. Okay,
Yep.
so now we can go on to the second, more important question. Did you get an ad for Ladder Life Insurance?
No.
Okay, have you ever seen a Ladder Life Insurance ad? This was a first for me.
I don't think I have.
Okay, so their tagline, life insurance so good they're gonna want you dead. Fucking what? And then
What?
and then they don't even let that I let that beat hit. They don't let the beat hit. Then, like, a half second goes by, and they're like, "Yeah, but seriously, killing a policyholder will void all life insurance benefits." Like, they have to. Somebody
Don't do the joke and then not commit to the joke.
Yeah,
let
like,
it.
put it in
on.
put it. So do the life insurance thing where it's like, blah, 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 like where it's like
Right.
just for the lawsuits that you could get, not like, hey, idiots, don't kill your family for money.
Also, weirdly, because I'm so dumb, when you kept saying ladder life insurance, I thought you literally meant a life insurance policy exclusively for ladder-related deaths.
Well, I mean, it's called Ladder, LADDER. So I mean, it's I'm assuming that's what they started out as. It's
Must have been their first policy.
Yeah, it's the old West, and they're
Their
like,
flagship
"Whoa,
policy."
hey, little son, like, what are you gonna die from out here?
Yeah.
It could be snakes, it could be
a horse
shootouts,
running
and it
through,
could be ladders.
You saying it in that dialect makes that tagline make so much more sense.
Oh yeah. Please give us the tagline in that dialect, please.
Life insurance so good they're gonna want you dead.
Yep,
Seriously,
perfect.
don't killing a policyholder will avoid all life insurance benefits. Yeah, like fucking finger guns. Absurd.
Holy shit.
Beautiful.
All right. We got through the basic stuff. It's if you've seen one Amityville film, you've seen them all.
No, you haven't. Because if you have seen all Amityville movies except for It's About Time, you still haven't seen all Amityville movies because this movie is exactly what you would expect from the Amityville franchise. Just fucking boring, terrible pacing, nothing important happens, and then they're like, it's all over, isn't it? And then the mom is like, it's really over, and then the cat licks the pieces of the lamp. I don't know.
Yeah, as
but then
cats
you
are known
get
to
like,
do.
yeah, exactly. But then is that like the cat's possessed? Then I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I can't find part 5 anywhere.
Yeah,
So
we
we'll
don't know
never
what
know.
happens. So we jump to part 6, which is It's About
Amityville
Time.
Cat would be incredible.
I mean, cats are already possessed, so I don't think we need that movie.
You might be sitting there thinking that you've seen one Amityville film. You've seen all of them, right? So why would I pick just some random lesser than Amityville film? And I have one or two words, depending on how you want to go with it. But that word is chainsaw. There is a sequence when I watched this Blu-ray, I popped it in and I was like, man, that's a hideous lamp. And then I was like, man, this movie's pretty boring. And then this kid, who I can't really say how old the actor is or how old the character he's supposed to be playing is, but
Brian.
But man, he has a chainsaw go rogue on him, and it is some of the funniest shit I have seen in the last decade.
It's incredible. The eyes, his eyes go like wide, and then he's like, oh, for
it's instant regret.
3 minutes.
His face is filled with. But like, I think what's also funny is that no matter what age this actor who looks like he's in his mid-20s is supposed to be playing the role of, he still seems too old to just be hanging in a basement pretending to chainsaw things.
Absolutely. Like he should be over that by now, and he's not. But he's also middle child, so it's like he's got some stuff going on there, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's a scene that really rivals Evil Dead 2, in my opinion.
You know what part in Evil Dead 2 is? It's the part in Evil Dead 2 when the headless corpse of Ash's girlfriend gets the chainsaw. It's what it is, except it's 4 times longer. It's incredible.
That's exactly what it is.
And I think
he's going, like, the chainsaw is going after Grandma, and Grandma already has fallen down the stairs. There's no life alert to be seen.
Exactly.
And like, but then there's the nanny housekeeper that's like, oh, wrought iron fire poker, and stops the chainsaw. It's the best action scene in the whole movie.
It's the best action scene we've watched in months.
It also has, Scott, you point out how long it is. It almost has like a Family Guy joke level of like, it overstays its welcome and then just keeps going to the point that it becomes funny for a second time because it's like, oh, this is still happening.
Oh, the editor fell asleep. Oh.
Or the director was like, listen, we shot this goddamn chainsaw scene and I want to make sure every glorious moment is captured.
It is the start of, well, because nobody dies in that scene, but it does set up the beginning of the body count of this movie, which is low because it's, as any Amityville movie, I guess, would be low body count, right? Because it's a haunted house.
It's usually
so
like 2 people tops.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I was realizing that, so I was like,
It's About Time has 0 deaths because none of it happened.
Yeah, reverses time. That's how they beat it.
What? I haven't seen it.
You would enjoy It's About Time. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, this actually makes me want to watch some of those other ones, regardless of, I do love garbage, but like this does make me want to watch a few other ones that I've had on my list. The pacing is bad, but then there are the scenes like the chainsaw scene. There is both the garbage disposal and then the plumbing. Because of the garbage disposal scene.
Yeah.
It almost didn't seem like that should have been on TV, like made for TV, but one of them didn't die.
Yeah.
So it's like if there's no death, then I think it's
The
acceptable.
worst death is like a lady has a heart attack or like whatever it is in the hospital.
Right.
That's it. That's like the only true death.
And the plumber's covered in like goopy garbage disposal stuff. And but he's assumed dead. I don't know. There's no like real death, but it's like if nobody dies, you can still show grotesque stuff, which I think is just so American.
So the garbage disposal part is baffling to me in the sense of the pacing of that, right? Because dude gets its hand in the garbage disposal, and it's definitely the goriest moment in the movie because you're seeing a lot of blood like spraying out of that sink and onto people.
Yeah.
Well, they had spaghetti the night before.
Yeah, that is true.
But
then, like, the plumber scene, I feel like that's, like, 25 minutes after the hand in the garbage disposal scene.
Roughly.
So much so that I was just like, oh, he's there to fix the plumbing. Like, I didn't think anything about the garbage disposal. And then when they just call it back with the hand, I was like, so you're telling me that someone lost their hand in the garbage disposal and you're just now getting around to addressing that fact. But then on top of that, like, yeah, the house, like, caused some stuff to shake so that the guy was pinned and got, like, a face full of, like, sewage. But, like, the way he was laying down preparing to take off the cap to that thing, he was pretty much prepping for the same result already. The house like, kept him stable during
This is why I don't do my own plumbing.
Yeah.
I just don't want a face full of goop.
You know what? I think that there are certain things where it is perfectly acceptable if you're like, I'm going to bring in a professional on this.
Yeah,
and plumbing is
electrical
one of
and
them,
plumbing.
dude.
That's the people that died or the people that were maimed and or died in Amityville, the evil X-scapes.
Yeah, the evil X-scapes.
Escapes.
Do you like the Olympics or the X-scapes?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Kyle, what is your drink today?
Oh, shit. Allagash Haunted House.
Yeah.
Dark. Yeah, Hoppy Dark Ale. I was trying to find something with a lamp to no avail. My runner-up would have been Midnight Oil, which had a which had a lantern, but it wasn't going to work. So, Haunted House from Allagash is my beer
That
today.
one can come again.
I have like 2 more in the fridge because I
Just saving 'em.
I don't love it, so it's just been taking up a room there, and I'll be ready for a couple other movies.
It's gonna be
down
like
the road.
half skunky by the time we get to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. it'll be
Whatever. It
gross,
wasn't any
but,
worse
you
than it
know.
was before.
I could
So-
be pretending this whole time. It could just be a pile of beer. On
Just
the
empty
floor,
cans.
a
Just
puddle.
stacks of empty
Yeah.
cans that you just
Doesn't
reusing.
this make me look cool?
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? This is Brian here to tell you about our podcast, Bingetown TV. Our hosts include 7 best friends with a love for all things television. We cover a range of genres with a focus on fantasy and sci-fi, but also dip our feet into drama, horror, comedy, and pretty much anything we think is good television. We use the traditional deep dive formula for new live shows that are released week to week, but our calling card is our Rooks and Vets and Pitchtown TV series. Rooks and Vets pairs 2 of our hosts that have seen a show with 2 of our hosts that have not seen a show. Pitchtown TV is when we have a special guest pitch us a show by having us watch the pilot and trying to convince us to watch the rest. If you're craving more content on some of your favorite TV shows, then you should listen to Bingetown TV. Find us on our website at bingetowntv.com, the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, or wherever else you may find your podcast.
Kyle, you said something that jumped out at me, which is that you said that
Was it a
lantern...
hand?
Yes. No, you referred to a lantern, but you were like, a lantern is not a lamp, right?
Right. Yeah.
Scott, I think it's about time for you to ask me a question.
You motherfucker. I will not, because you're gonna steal it. Matt, what's your double feature, you asshole?
A movie about an evil genie called
Son of a
The
bitch!
Lamp.
It's called The Outing, Matt.
Also known as The Lamp.
What the fuck is
another
my
Vinegar
double
Syndrome
feature gonna
release.
be?
Yeah. No, that's a Scream Factory. That's a Scream
is it
Factory boy.
Vinegar Syndrome released a
Wait.
lamp.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you're right. I have the Scream Factory double disc release. It was that and some other movie.
Oh,
and
shit.
then like 5 years later, Vinegar Syndrome put out just the outing /
I didn't even know the Scream Factory put out a double feature. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We did an
Okay.
episode on The Outing / The
not
Lamp.
not one of our best.
No, but that was a fun fucking watch. I think that was my pick, wasn't it?
I think so.
Pretty sure.
I've heard a lot of people talking about it recently since I joined up this Vinegar Syndrome group on Facebook, and it sounds great. It sounds like a blast. I'll have to listen to you guys talk about it.
It's a better movie than it is a horror movie night episode.
Yeah,
is I guess what I'll say.
Well, Kyle, while I'm trying to recover from Matt fucking me so hard,
Yeah.
why don't you go and tell us what your double feature would be?
So it's really only based on 2 scenes in the Amityville 4 movie, and I was trying to find a nice like made-for-TV. Oh, wait, no, I guess I did change it later on. Okay, so this is more personal, but it's more of a suggestion because I want everybody to see it. It's a made-for-TV movie called Secrets in the Attic, or The Dollhouse Murders.
Oh, Dollhouse Murders,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, it's based on a Betty Wren Wright.
We have a copy
children's
right
book.
back there. Yeah, Megan.
Yes.
Megan. It was Megan's favorite when she was a kid.
Oh my god, incredible. So we watched the movie in elementary school and it scared the fuck out of me. It's really no connection other than made for TV beats, music, kids and grandma or / aunt, and like that. It's just more of like a environment and tone match. But I also just think it's so fun. There's one really creepy scene that like used to scare the fuck out of me, and still continues to. I revisited it, and I own a VHS of it after I borrowed it from my elementary school many years later. They somehow let an almost grown man in to like borrow their VHS tape once. It's fucked up, but bless them. That's my Secrets in the Attic is my double feature.
Well,
All right, Scott, I'm sorry. I shit on your parade, but
shit's on
Everyone.
parade.
Right.
I guess I'm just gonna go with another genie movie. I'm gonna go with Wishmaster because I
Nice.
just have no other options. I know he doesn't come out of a lamp; he comes out of a diamond, or I mean a gemstone. But that movie's fun, and this movie's
Yeah.
not. So I'm gonna follow it up with Wishmaster to salvage the night.
I think
you
Wishmaster's
go.
a better watch than The Lamp anyway, as far as if we're
Yeah,
talking
but
about
it's
just like
not
sitting down
as
and
much
watching
of an
something.
obvious,
True.
you know, like, and I am nothing if not completely obvious.
Do you have any more questions for me, Scott?
Oh, Matthew, what did you watch, listen to, or read this week?
So I hinted at it earlier, but Jackass Forever. I went down to Georgia, hung out with my brother, and we went into a very empty movie theater to watch Jackass Forever. And I mean, if you were a fan of the Jackass movies, you'll be a fan of this one. More penises than the other three combined, I will say. So they really
Real or
like
prosthetic?
no, real, very real. So if you don't want any of the crazy shit from Jackass Forever spoiled for you, I guess skip ahead like a minute. Party Boy whips out his dick, and they take two flat, clear plates and screw them together to smush it down till it's perfectly flat.
No.
And it's
No.
a whatever that thing is with the with the ball on the other.
No.
And he just sits there and is like wiggling it and trying to get the ball to bounce like X amount of times. A paddle ball. Like,
Wow.
I've heard a couple interviews where like Johnny Knoxville says this is definitely his last Jackass movie.
Because they're fucking old.
Yeah, they're a bunch of 50-year-old dudes. They introduce some new people. There's a girl this time. I think it's the first time that they've had like a female Jackass cast member, and she's fucking nuts. Like, the few things that she does in there is like lick an on taser, like just straight up like lick the taser.
Good for her. You know? Like,
But yeah, I think if they do more, as much as I enjoyed these new characters that they brought in, I definitely don't want to watch Johnny Knoxville get another concussion because that was really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think that you still need those older guys there, even if they're not necessarily doing the pranks, but them egging them on a little
like a
bit. Because,
mentorship.
yeah, because I think that the big thing that whether you love or hate the Jackass movies, I think what draws you into them is that you can really tell that all of these dudes love each other and are like, it's obviously, you know, we're not like mutilating our dicks here, but like we do horror movie night
not?
because we enjoy making each other laugh, and you can tell that like that's what's happening on the set of those movies.
Yeah.
And the new cast members still kind of feel like they just grabbed some random people who are willing to do crazy shit from other places. So that feeling of community is not quite there yet. And I think that if they want to like pass it to a new generation, they probably still need like one more movie where they're like kind of helping that relationship forge with these people that they've thrown together. Because the show was people thrown together. Like it was like these three dudes from Westchester, this like stunt guy from Tennessee, and then like
Right.
a couple California skateboarders like smashed together, and then they became
Right.
friends. So it was good though. I mean, definitely not worth seeing in a theater, but it was a magical moment just hanging with my bro. So I had fun.
I watched Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer 2.
Oof.
Yeah. It's so, Henry 1 is obviously a brutal film that has a lot of really interesting choices that make it an excellent yet brutal film, right? Like, I think that's a fair thing to say. Henry 2 picks up on the brutality or the uncomfortableness, but without any sort of, in my opinion, really like great filmmaking chops, right? Like it just ends up falling flat, but brutal and weird for no real reason. I will say that it is Kate Walsh's one of her first performances. So if you watch Grey's Anatomy or Private Practice or any of that stuff, she is in it as a lead character. It's not worth the watch, but at the same time,
And yet here
it's
you
sort
are.
of yeah, here I am to tell you that I would say it's not worth the watch for anybody who's like, oh, it's a sequel to Henry. It's worth the watch if you are like piqued that there even is one. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah.
Like it's
So I've never seen it, but I remember seeing the trailer for it.
yeah.
And unless I'm remembering this incorrectly, because this was 15 years ago, but
Yeah.
like what at the time, what I really liked about Henry, the Portrait of a Serial Killer, is that as unsettling and as brutal as it is, it's also very, very real. It's very tied within reality. And I feel like I remember seeing the trailer for Henry, A Portrait of a Serial Killer 2, and there was like a scene where he shoots a car till it explodes from a distance. And okay, that is in there. Yeah.
So there is. So I will tell you, I don't quite remember if that's totally true, but he teams up. It's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
It's a buddy cop movie. Henry is still somehow out there, despite this. So Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, 1 based on reality. 2, obviously not, because Henry Lee Lucas didn't just go out and then team up with an arsonist who burns buildings for insurance money, which is what this movie is.
Sounds like some real Metachlorians bullshit being added into Henry's Portrait of a Serial Killer.
If you like grittiness and sort of like really shit characters, like shitty people in shitty situations that just can't help themselves out of it, there's some good character choices and acting and stuff like that, but ultimately, like, it's just like, it does not make you feel, it's not a great flick, you know what I mean? It's like, not that Henry 1 is a great flick or doesn't make you feel good, but it's like there's something, there's some sure doesn't. And it wasn't like, after watching this, I wasn't like, oh, I want to revisit that, because it's been about 15 years since I've seen Henry 1. And it's like, I don't want to go back and watch it now because I watched this and it was shit. And I was like, I want to remember why that was good. It's like, I don't want to go back at all.
Yeah.
I don't want to revisit the series, period.
The first Henry's a real, like, requiem for a dream. Like, you've seen it, you appreciate it, you don't ever really need to revisit it after that.
Yes. Yeah. But, I bought the DVD for a couple bucks and it was, whatever.
Yeah.
I kept it. It's going to stay in my collection.
Look, it's on my shelf too, but I can tell you that I pass it by on a daily basis and just keep moving. Yeah. All right, Scott, take us home.
So instead of what did I watch or read or anything like that this week, I wanted to kind of dovetail this Amityville movie with the fact that after a year off last year, 2021, in 2022, I am dropping a new horrors EP, which is for the uninitiated. When we were doing cons, I was regularly dropping a new EP of metal covers of themes from horror movies, and the last one that I did was was supposed to be for Monster Mania 2020, which would have been March 13th, 2020, which is the day that the entire world ended. So I still released it that day, but I took last year off and I worked on other projects. And so I'm back with Horrors 5 this year, and it's all music from franchises that have at least 5 entries into the franchise. So obviously Nightmare on Elm Street is one of them, Leprechaun is another, Saw, Amityville, and Child's Play. And Amityville, of course, I had to go with It's About Time because it is an amazing theme song, and I hope that I did it justice. That's what I wanted to pour out on our show this week.
I'm so hyped for this. I can't wait.
So I think that Amityville, It's About Time is a really great song, but I also have to say that I have never been so stoked for something that I came up with since like probably Horrors 2 when I did the Candyman theme by Philip Glass. The Leprechaun theme is awesome, first of all. It's kind of like evil carousel music, and then I went completely like Swedish Melodeath with it, and it's kind of like what I did in Horrors 4 when I did Ginger Snaps. I did a straight version of it, and then I did kind of like a reimagining of it where I took the notes and melody and just kind of chopped it and made it into something basically that sounds like At the Gates. And I did that again for Leprechaun this time, and it is definitely one of my new go-to warm-up riffs because it is just a perfect, like, it's got the alternate picking, it's got chugs, it's got pretty much everything that I need to do to warm up my right wrist, and it's also super fun. And so I can't take complete credit for it because I'm basically like interpolating the Leprechaun theme, but the Leprechaun theme is so good that I had a great basis for it. So as soon as it comes out, you guys are getting first dibs on listening to it.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.